Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Thursday night. It is time for revolutionary change. I'm Jen Perelman. You're muted.
Look at those earrings you're rocking this evening.
These are my old watermelons. Yeah.
Brought them out for a special occasion.
I did. Well, yeah. You know, I mean, we're dealing with someone who puts life on the line. I feel like the least I could do is don the watermelon earrings.
Well, I'm wearing my green fatigues. I am under the weather. Just want to let you know.
You sound a little snively.
I'm not going to be screaming tonight, even though there's plenty of things to get riled up about. I'm going to ask you to carry the torch a little more than usual.
Oh, sure. Since I'm not even sure what order you want to go in, but okay.
Well, we have to start where we obviously have to start, which is this attack, Jen. We've been attacked, supposedly. Colin, can I have that clip, please? I don't see it. I need the one from the one I sent you earlier about the attack.
Which attack are we speaking of?
Oh, you know, the good old synagogue attack in Michigan that they're now blaming on again.
Okay, and just be aware, like, I have been so out of it today in terms of I haven't had a chance to do anything, so I haven't even looked at news today. So I'm just letting you know.
So there was a attempted shooting apparently at a synagogue in West Bloomfield, Michigan, which is a very affluent.
I know all about Bloomfield. It's
also 30 minutes from Dearborn, you know, because they want to point that out. Very important. There is only one death, and the death is of the person that got that apparently was behind this attack.
Do we have, like, can I get a little background on the story?
Well, like, I'm going to give it to you in a second, but I got to send this over to Colin again. I don't know what's going on here. So we could pull up a story if you want. I don't have a problem with that. Synagogue.
So this just happened today? There was a synagogue shooting today?
Happened like 2 or 3 hours ago.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess this is the most logical place to start.
I mean, look, we've been saying for a long time to be prepared for a lot of false flags. They're really at the phase of declining empire where it's like the death throes, and they're just gonna put everything they can out there. And so it's gonna be a lot of false flags.
Well, nobody trusts this, and nor should they. That's really the point.
You can't.
The whole point about these stories is that you pretty much should not believe anything, like anything that they say. No. And in the case of driver dead after vehicle ramming attack at Michigan synagogue. So let's put it this way. So he drove his car into the synagogue and then got into a shootout with I'm not even kidding. There were like 100 officers that showed up at this place for one shooter. And then apparently he got into a shootout and is dead.
Huh. And well, isn't that convenient?
Extremely.
Yeah.
Extremely.
So what is it? Is this that's a synagogue? Looks like a mall.
Well, it's a synagogue and it's like a Jewish day school type thing.
Okay. Well, if you were going to do a false flag, this is a good place.
All students and staff at a preschool in Temple Israel Synagogue in West Bloomfield, Michigan were safe. Oh, so no one was hurt. Yeah. So here's what we know. Driver rammed their vehicle into a large synagogue in West Bloomfield and exchanged gunfire with a security guard in an attack that set off fears across the state and Jewish community.
Really? Really? Really, NBC? It set off fears across the whole state and the community? Yeah.
The driver was killed and the security guard was injured. 8 first responders were being treated at an area hospital. All the students and staff at a Temple preschool were uninjured. Oakland County Sheriff Mike Bouchard said that the suspect breached the facility by driving in through the doors. The cars caught fire after something ignited inside, and the suspect was found dead in the vehicle. It is so now they can't decide, did he get out and start a shootout, or did he die in the car? Yeah.
So he was found dead in the car.
No, he was found dead in the car.
Okay.
Okay. It's unclear exactly what the cause of death was at this time. Yeah, maybe a false flag. Temple Israel is a Reform synagogue serving a large congregation in Michigan, a large Zionist congregation in Michigan.
For people who don't know, this particular area of Michigan, it's a suburb of Detroit. It's West Bloomfield, but it's very, very Ashkenazi Jewish.
Very affluent.
And very much so. And I would say predominantly Reform. There might be some conservative and Orthodox, but yeah. And this is probably a very heavily Zio community. And it isn't a coincidence that this happens in a state where right now they're losing their population as far as any support regarding Israel, or even Democrats are losing support by the minute there because of the amount of Palestinian and Muslim populations. This is bullshit.
Well, here comes more bullshit. Now it's coming from, you saw NBC, here's Fox.
So just a little bulletin here, just to add to what was just reported now. I'm hearing from a senior law enforcement source that the person who was driving the vehicle, the alleged shooter, is reported to be dead. So we had the alert from the sheriff that the suspect was not in custody. I'm being told by a senior law enforcement official that the suspect is believed to be dead. And I was wondering, Nicole.
See, I don't understand.
All right, so
I don't understand this. How is somebody believed to be dead? Either they are dead or they are not dead. And this report is happening after the incident. So there should be an answer to that question. Believed to be dead. I don't understand that. How is that a belief? He either is dead or is not dead.
Well, here's the thing that we've learned is that these guys can't get their stories straight. They're just not capable. Because in the end, they do not have enough of the population anymore that they can just get to go along with whatever it is that they're selling. And as I've often said, technology is our greatest asset and it's our greatest detriment at the same time. In this case, it's a great asset because it allows us to communicate locally as well as globally. And when stories like this pop up, you immediately have to be on the defensive because you know what the intention of these stories are. The intention is to try to gin up anti-Muslim bigotry. Hence why, for those that are wondering, West Bloomfield, along with Farmington Hills, are the two wealthiest suburbs of Detroit. And it's about 30 minutes outside of Dearborn, which is the largest Muslim population in the country. And so their goal is to try to create as much hysteria as possible.
It's also to garner a certain amount of sympathy. See, they're not so much like, until they come out and blame a Muslim terrorist, at this point, what the narrative is really just about drumming up sympathy and support for Jewish community in general. Because until at least they point out the fact that it's some, miscellaneous Muslim that, until then, we don't know who they're persecuting for this.
Well, this is what apparently Dropsite News, which is Ryan Grimm's group and Jeremy Scahill's group, this is what they're reporting, that the man reportedly who did this posted a picture of his wife and kids killed by Israel in Lebanon. Hey, if that's the case, an eye for an eye does make the whole world blind, but I'm not going to fault him for wanting a blood revenge on the people that are funding and cheering on the death of his family in Lebanon, Iran, Gaza, and the like. And that is what these people do. You see, the thing about the American Zionists, ladies and gentlemen, that you have to remember, particularly those that live in places like West Bloomfield, they are all cuck cowards of humans. They will never pick up a weapon to actually defend their cause. But what they will do is give a lot of money and a lot of power to elected officials in both major parties and in the military-industrial complex. And this is how it's facilitated. So when we ask, how is it that we're being bombarded with a $1.5 trillion with a T, military budget deficit, where do you think it comes from? It comes from people like the ones that live in West Bloomfield. They're the ones who want this, and they're the ones who fund a lot of political campaigns. So as a result, this is the turnabout fair play, so to speak. Now, of course, we would be amiss to not address the fact that what they're also trying to do is silence people. Well, yeah, I understand. So Tucker Carlson decided to respond, even though I still wish he wouldn't have, to lunatic Loomer, who is trying to blame him, apparently, for this that happened. I'm not kidding. So this is apparently what happened today, and Tucker decided to respond. So Laura Loomer says to Tucker Carlson, well, and Candace Owens.
Oh my God, this bitch. Cannot be this.
Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens both said everyone needs to know where their local Shabbat is. I said their hatred would lead to people shooting up.
Chabad.
Whatever, I can't do it. It's my throat hurts. It'll hurt even more if I try to. I said their hatred would lead to people shooting up Jews in synagogues. It will likely end up being a Muslim. Trump administration must start deporting these Islamic savages from our country, and we must start holding people accountable for inciting violence. This is very sad. Okay.
Oh my God, Laura Loomer.
Yeah, she's going to get hers eventually.
Oh. That.
Can we just take a moment to...
Can we take a moment and appreciate that there's a high unlikelihood that I'll ever run into her, and that's a good thing? Can we just take a moment, because that I don't live in South Florida anymore, and that there's no chance I'm going to run into this bitch. Like, well, I feel like that in and of itself is a win for, for the cosmic universe, because, oh, that bitch. Oh my God.
I'm going to ask you for a favor. I'm going to go get a little bit of stuff for the throat to loosen it up a little bit.
You want me to read what Tucker said?
Read Tucker's message, please.
Okay, I'm going to be Tucker Carlson. I rarely read the filth you publish and have never responded to it. For the same reason I avoid pornography. It's unhealthy and I don't want to encourage it. But in this specific case, I understand exactly what you're doing, and I'd like to stop it now. I have never said or suggested that everyone needs to know where their local Chabad is or anything remotely like it. I didn't attack or even criticize Chabad, an organization I've mentioned precisely once in my life. Last week, I said I believe that IOF soldiers in Israel have received Third Temple patches for their uniforms from Chabad. I believe that's true. Please let me know if I'm wrong, not that you care. The point of your post is to blame me preemptively for violent attacks on American Jews that you believe are coming. This is an absurd slander, of course. I abhor violence against innocents, which is why I am disgusted by what Israel has done in Gaza and why I argued against the current war in Iran. As a Christian and an American, I also vehemently oppose punishing anyone on the basis of bloodline. The concept of Amalek has no place in Western civilization and certainly not in my country. I am therefore strongly opposed to anti-Semitism precisely as much as I am to the anti-Arab hate you promote or the anti-white bias embedded in the US government and our largest institutions. The anti-white bias embedded in the U.S. government or a large?
Tucker can't help himself but to try to.
All right, that's absurd. It's all immoral and indefensible. I believe in the inherent rights of the individual because I believe in God. What you're doing divides this country more than you likely understand. I hope you will stop. She won't stop, Tucker. She won't stop.
She's paid to do this. She's
not, and more than that. She's a miserable cunt. And so when you're miserable, you want everyone else to be miserable too. And this is also a bit, and I know I've said this before, that has likely never properly been put in her place. This is the problem with a lot of these people. They've really never been put in their place. And I firmly believe, as a Gen Xer, that everybody at some point needs to be put in their place. Seriously. When it needs to happen. And when you don't, you end up with this kind of shit. You end up with people like this that just walk through the world with this level of entitlement that is suffocating and disgusting.
Well, it's not
And
just...
she screams, people come kick my ass. I cannot tell you how thankful I am that I don't live in the vicinity. Oh, you know what? She is a whore. Oh, I'll give you that. She's a whore. And again, as somebody without a penis, I can't speak to her skill set, but apparently it's something, because otherwise I don't understand what her qualifications are for even existing as a social media person. I don't understand it at all.
I think in a lot of ways, she just kind of embodies, I hate using this as a reference point, because again, I don't want to see people, especially children, but again, in so many cases, they don't have any choice. They're brought up in this environment and they're taught to hate, and they're taught that money and power is the end all be all. That's what Zionist Jews preach in these communities, that we're the ones in control. We're the ones who
talking about Laura Loomer, if you're just joining. So when you see everybody mentioning Cuntosaurus, she is definitely up there as well. Yes.
Laura Loomer, in so many respects, embodies the type of women that you consistently run into in these communities.
That's why I left.
She's not an anomaly. She's actually a lot like what they're like. Like I mentioned before about the woman who may not be as detestable as Laura Loomer, but she's still a liberal Zio of the same class. She comes from a similar community to West Bloomfield in New York, and her attitude is very comparable in that respect. She may not be a nasty C word like Laura Loomer is.
You really feel like you have to say the C word?
Men are really not supposed to use that word.
Well, what's interesting is, and seriously, and I don't know, and people, to our UK people, to our Brits and stuff, I feel like the word cunt is used a lot more there, and it is interchangeable, men and women. And it's just, it doesn't seem to have the same, I don't know. Anywho, but yeah, it's not how we use it.
But
although I'll use it however I want to use it, and that bitch earns it.
And the one thing I will say to Tucker, you should not have responded to her. It doesn't serve you any good to respond to her, because that's what she's hoping for. People like her are hoping to get a rise out of somebody like you who actually has power. She has no power.
Okay, so I'm right about the cunt thing, and more in Scotland even. Yeah. And yeah, that's what I mean. It's much more, it's much less misogynistic than people think it is. So
yeah. No, listen, if a woman's a cunt, she's a cunt. I'm just generally not the one who's going to use that word. However, I think that it is understated that somebody like Laura Loomer, who again is very tough to look at, not because I am judging her specifically on her physical appearance.
Oh, I am.
It's the same thing, but it's the same thing with Wasserman Schultz. Wasserman Schultz is an ugly person on the inside first, which makes her an even uglier person on the outside. And the same is true for somebody like Loomer. It's the same thing. And so the presumption that the person who did this is a Muslim, when it's already been reported by an actual news site like Drop Site News that the person in question is apparently Lebanese and his wife and kids are dead, and the likelihood that they are Christian and not Muslim, only speaks to the ignorance and arrogance of this wealthy Zionist class of people that have been used to having their cake and eating it too for far too long. Eventually, they're going to run out of cake. And at this point, they're very, very close. And part of the reason they're going to run out of it is because we're now heading to a point where they are not going to be able to argue away their talking points when the average American is absolutely taking it on the chin economically. And that leads us to what's going on with the Strait of Hormuz and what Iran is now doing. Iran is not messing around. They have every intention of, you want World War III? We're ready for it. Don't think for a second they'll hesitate. And if they have any intention of dropping nuclear bombs, which as far as I'm concerned with Israel, I wouldn't put anything past them, they have countries like China now backing them up, and China has nukes, and North Korea has nukes, and Russia has nukes, and they back Iran. You want World War III? They're ready.
Well, people here, not just here, but in the West, in a lot of cases, really cannot comprehend the level of pride and like cultural like stewardship almost that people feel in places that have that level of culture and that depth of a civilization. So, you know, most people in this country, they're not going to die for this country. Most people in this country aren't even paying attention at all. In Iran, they'll die for their country. And they won't even think twice about it, in a sense that whoever even is the leader, if they do or don't like them. Because what they all agree on is they don't like us in their business. That's what they all agree on. They've had it. They've had it. And they've told us they've had it. And they said exactly what they're going to do. They said every little thing they're going to do. And these stupid motherfuckers just refuse to listen to them. I don't know how people could be more clear. They said, we're going to do this. They've done that. And these people are now think they're going to send boots on the ground now. That's what they're getting ready to do.
Iran has decided that they are now going to put mines, water mines, along the Strait of Hormuz. Why? Because the United States clearly doesn't get the message, and Israel doesn't get the message. They think they're joking when they say, you will not pass go through the Strait of Hormuz. We don't care how much money you lose. You are not passing. And of course, they have now attempted multiple times to do it. They have been shelled upon multiple times. They're going to keep trying. And so now Iran has decided, okay, you really want to see how far we'll take this? We'll sink one of your major carrier ships. Like, that's what we'll do now.
Well, and this is something worth bringing up too. And for people who don't recall or didn't see when we last had Colonel Wilkerson on. But one thing about that strait and where that is it's incredibly shallow. It's incredibly shallow, which is why back when he was back in the day, they didn't go in there, because it's very, very difficult once you're in there to turn around and come back out. And now they're going to be setting up mines, which is very doable because of how shallow it is. See, this is the thing. So they're doing this without any concept of any strategy that's workable. But the truth is, there is no win. We can't win in a war with Iran. It can't. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
If you please.
Iran has deployed about a dozen mines in the Strait of Hormuz. Two sources familiar with the matter said, I also, right off the bat, I don't like this source. Two sources familiar with the matter. In a move likely to complicate the reopening of the narrow waterway, an important route for shipping oil and liquefied natural gas. Exports of oil and liquefied natural gas through the strategic choke point along Iran's coast have effectively been halted by the war launched 12 days ago by the United States and Israel, helping to drive a surge in the world energy prices. It's just getting started, people.
Mm-hmm.
Iran's military command on Wednesday said the world should be prepared for oil to hit $200 a barrel. Now, as someone who is math challenged, I can't figure out what that means per gallon, but it's not good. One source said the mines were deployed in the last few days and that most of their locations were known, but the source declined to say how the U.S. planned to deal with them. Yeah, because the U.S. doesn't even think about how they're going to deal with them. They're just going to send those guys in there to die. That's what they're going to do. CNN first reported the mining of the Strait on Tuesday. Iran has long threatened to retaliate against any military attack by mining the Strait. About a fifth of global oil and liquid natural gas normally passes through the Strait, and Tehran's ability to stop shipping through the channel gives it enormous leverage over the U.S. and its allies. Yeah. Oh, they're so in the find out portion of this. I'm telling you, I need to make some popcorn. The U.S. military says it has targeted Iranian mine-laying vessels, eliminating 16 of them on Tuesday. Don't believe a word that you say. But the U.S. Navy has so far declined to provide protective escorts to commercial ships through the Strait. So here's the thing people need to understand, which I don't think people get. Let's say, hypothetically, a ship captain felt safe enough that he can make it through. The problem is that an insurance company isn't going to insure that ship. So it isn't even a matter if the people feel safe or they feel like they're protected. They're not being able, nobody's being able to get their cargo insured that's going through there. So it's a lot bigger than just bullying your way through if you can't get the products insured. Okay, 1 barrel of oil is 42 gallons. So you divide 200 by 42 and tell me what that is, but it's not good. Yes, Trump. $8 a gallon. There it is.
That's not correct. So it's about $5 a gallon.
I still think that it's going to end up being way higher than that.
Now, if the argument is that it'll be $8 a gallon because of the cost of transit, the cost of profit for the
all of it,
crude for the crude oil to gasoline refinery, whether it's through Chevron, ExxonMobil, BP, etc. Perhaps that's what it would be. I can't say for certain what that exact number would be, but as Colin has pointed out, it's already over $6 in California, which is not.
I have a feeling that when all's said and done with what's going on, we could be looking at like $10 to $12 a gallon. Yeah. Oh yeah. This is going to get bad. And again, they still have only just started also destroying the inventory, right? Like right now, they've got the Strait shut down, but they're also going to be destroying the inventory. So yeah, Mark Levin's going to go over there and straighten them out. Oh, so U.S. President Donald Trump on Tuesday demanded that Iran immediately remove any mines deployed in the Strait. And he said that it would face unspecified military consequences if it failed to do so. Because he has no idea what he's talking about for a lot of reasons. One, he's really not that bright. And two, he gets very bad information because whoever's telling him that's what he's listening to. But there's no universe wherein Donald Trump is in the position to demand anything of Iran. That's the delusion, is that he believes that that he has the upper hand and that he's in a position to demand things. Iran is done negotiating. They are done with us. I don't understand. This is like basic cause and effect shit. People just don't understand. I don't get it.
I think that not only is Trump not getting good intel, but I also think that there's something to be said for how dangerous things are right now with some of the people who do have it and what their intentions are. And we're not going to talk about it right now, but we will talk about it with Brian, because I think this is one of the key components to one of the main issues with going forward with this war, is because as much as we point out constantly that Jewish Zionism has the bulk load of the financial infrastructure that is the basis of the Zionist movement, the true believers, the Christian Zionists, they're the flock, they're the sheep. And when you hear stories already coming out about how certain military commanders are telling them that this is a mission from God that they're on now, do you not understand how dangerous that is? When you have those types of people in positions of power, they truly have no value of human life. Like, they don't.
Are you talking about Peg Breath?
Well, I don't even care about him. He's a fucking loser. He just happens to have a position of power.
I just meant in terms of them like swearing their fealty to this sort of, Christian crusade.
Just as one of our favorite just as our favorite opinionators, no opinion. Leave the world behind. Yeah, that's what they're preaching. Leave the world behind.
Don't you think, though, to some extent, that type of rhetoric is going to just further divide the active?
It's going to scare the shit out of people.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is that I am seeing an increasing rift within active military personnel. So not everybody, like, yeah, there will be some people that'll hear that call to glory crusade nonsense rhetoric and be like, yeah. But there will also be a lot of people that are military people that won't be with that. So I think that this is just further creating more of a divide within the military. And I mean, I don't see how this is going to go over with a lot of the people that serve in the military.
That's a good point. And I also think that the more I'm trying, you know what this is like, Jen? This is almost like, this is like a novice chess. This is like a chess match between a novice and a grandmaster. That's basically
No, this is Trump's playing checkers and China is playing 3D chess. They're not even playing the same game. That's how, and the same goes for Iran too. We are so, let me tell you something. Donnie, you're out of your element.
You really are out of your element, Donnie.
I mean, he is so out of his element, and it's unfortunate, but this needed to happen, which is why, as I always said, I like the idea of Trump facilitating the revolution because it needs to happen. We're never going to vote our way out of this. We're not going to solve things by just making some new laws and some new policy. We are so far past that. And so this does facilitate the revolution. And I am here for it. You know, I mean, it sucks for most people. It's going to suck, but so does this country suck for most people.
I want to remind people of why things are the way that they are, and that if you think for one single solitary second that voting blue is going to save you, and a lot of people will vote blue in November. I mean, it's going to happen. It is inevitable.
We only have two choices. So anybody who votes is for voting for either one of those bullshit parties. So really, does it matter? Does it matter?
I'll tell you, and we're going to show you why it doesn't matter, because two of the most influential voices in Democratic, on the one hand, you have, in terms of the most influential, like sort of the Mark Levin equivalent, influential voice in liberal politics, you have Rachel Maddow.
God, now, I know I wasn't pleased when you told me we were going to have to cover her, but I understand.
But I want people to understand that when you have two sides of the same coin, one side is dirty, the other side is less dirty, we'll say, what you end up getting is a person or two people who are willing to get to the same destination with different rhetoric. In the end, you're still getting World War III. It just feels better when somebody like Rachel Maddow is explaining why we need World War III.
Cui bono, right? Who benefits? It's always you.
I am not playing that clip. It is way too ugly. I will pull it up myself and then play it. Jen, let's... I know you really wanted to. I know you wanted to discuss Jon Stewart.
Well, I just think if we're going to be talking about how screwed up we're getting in terms of media coverage, you're looking at Rachel Maddow, who we all know to be like a libtard of the highest order, and someone like Jon Stewart, who we all kind of liked, you know, and thought he might be the last bastion of any sort of like humanity in the media world. And yet those two people both had the same shitty ass take about what's going on in Iran. And we haven't talked about Jon Stewart yet, because really it's been very disappointing for me.
Oh yeah. Extremely. Like insanely bad. Same here. Well, of course, because, well, that was one of Matt Taibbi's best books. You know, I forgot, I'm not remembering the name, but it was about the separation of church and hate.
That's John Fugelsang. What do you mean?
Well, I'm thinking, yeah, but it's like something similar to that. It's a similar type of book.
I don't know, but all I'm saying is Jon Stewart, I saw it when it happened. I was like in the middle of something and I had to stop and I'm like, he just, and then, yeah, sure enough, he did. And then I saw a few people's takes on it, and I simmered with it for now a while. And it's beyond disappointing, really, because that was it. That was like Rachel Maddow, whatever. She's been a warmonger and a Russia foe, just ridiculous for years. So you expect it from her. Jon Stewart is disappointing.
Yeah, there was.
And for people who don't know, and this happened, I mean, it must have been on Monday, because he only comes on Mondays, right? I think. So apparently he was doing a bit implying that Iran is just so crazy and irrational, because he said, well, you're being bombed by the US and Israel, so I guess it makes sense to then bomb everybody else. Like, they're just being so crazy and erratic. And he knows better. He knows that that's not what's happening. He knows exactly that they're bombing US bases, and he knows that they said that's exactly what they were going to do. So why is he then trying to make it seem like the Iran government is so unhinged? They're not remotely unhinged. We're unhinged.
We are. And I want to be very clear that while Jon Stewart does have some good takes, he also has some really crappy ones. And when it comes to war like this, like I said, Israel, Gaza, that's a red line. I don't care who you are. And it's always the shit libs that always have the biggest opinions about, well, we can't just let the Republicans win. Like, to them, that's all that matters. So there is no line for them. But in this case, Jon Stewart knows exactly what's going on. He's a very smart guy, and he is not a Zionist.
And that's why this is so disappointing. So for people pointing out that his name is actually Leibowitz, I know that. And of course, I know that Jon Stewart's Jewish, which is why it's been so rewarding seeing him be on the right side of history in this for the past, couple of years and be actually on point.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I don't know what this is.
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. America and Israel attack Iran. And Iran's answer is to just attack everybody.
I think he spent a little too much time in the sun.
I'm too aggravated with him right now. I can't even look at him. And he knows better. It's like, this would be like, again, there are certain people that they're stupid, right? He's not one of them. He knows better. It's very disappointing.
Having been in a bar fight or two in my life, I'm pretty sure the worst thing you can do during a 2-on-1 beatdown is slap everyone else.
Okay.
You stupid fuck.
Israel and the US are beating down Iran. No, they're carpet bombing Iran, and Iran is beating the shit out of Israel in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. You see, they actually know precision warfare because they've been preparing for this for a long time. Whereas if you look at the actions of the US and Israel in Iran, it's freewheeling. They're the ones that are trying to hit everything that they see. There's no real strategy to what they're doing, including blowing up their oil fields and creating cancerous, toxic rainfall. Why don't you mention that, John?
Well, it's really, JD Party Hat's telling me that he's afraid to inform me that John is evil and has been evil for a long time. Well, at this point, I don't know why anything would surprise me, or at this point, like, really, I don't even know why I bother. It's almost like I just want to put a paper bag on my head and just climb in a box. And then I won't be disappointed by anybody because, we know why Iran bombed all those other countries. And those other countries know exactly why Iran bombed them. And the people in those countries, interestingly, support Iran. That's what's interesting here. People don't realize that because the people in those countries hate that their overlords are our bitch. Yep. They don't like that. So they support Palestinians and they don't like that their country leadership falls in line because they're our bitch. So even though Iran's bombing in those countries, what's going to happen is we're going to end up not having any bases there anymore. Yeah, and there is that. But what this is going to end up with is we are no longer going to have any bases surrounding Iran. We won't have any bases there. And when we don't have any bases there, what's going to protect them from finishing off Ziohel?
Correct.
Nothing.
Hey, not every part of me is getting punched. What are you doing? What are you doing? Hey, you!
Now, he is a funny guy, but not in that context. That context. Now, if you thought that was his attempt at cheap humor, this is even worse.
That guy, by the way, there he was, martyred at 86. Man, are the virgins going to be disappointed?
Like really, John?
This is so infuriating. That right there, that man, that was the last man that was standing between Iran having the nuclear weapon. That was it. That was him. And now the person in charge is his son, who you killed his father and his daughter. You killed his father and his daughter. How's that going to go for us?
Not well.
And they're mocking the Ayatollah.
I'm sorry, am I going too hard on Khamenei? Fucking murderous dictator? Like, whoa. Don't make fun of his erectile dysfunction. That's a bridge too far, Stewart. Guy fucking mowed down his own people, but, you know, Viagra's a serious drug. No,
he's
America,
murderous. That guy's murderous. He's murderous. The one who didn't want nuclear weapons. Yeah, he's the problem. Yeah, I could see how that's the problem.
Again,
I am so angry with Jon Stewart right now. I can't. And you know what? Right. Stupid me for ever thinking that he was remotely decent. That's how I feel right now. I'm just whatever.
You know what this reminds me of?
He sounds like such a fucking moron.
You know what this reminds me of? When he sat down for that interview with Hillary Clinton and Condoleezza Rice, and he just basically let them say whatever they wanted.
Oh,
so in the end, John will be very good on certain issues, and then he'll be absolutely atrocious on other ones. And being wrong on there is no excuse.
No, and here's the thing. He will see, because there were people like you and me who are actual people on the left that kind of still like Jon Stewart, right? That's gone. He now just signed his fate. He is done. He is now, you are officially a libtard, Jon Stewart, officially a libtard. Bye-bye.
Start an entire war to kill an 86-year-old man in ill health and not wait, I don't know, 3 weeks to let saturated fat do its thing.
You're an idiot.
Gotcha.
I'm beyond. Go away. Bye-bye. I hope that Josh Johnson rises up and takes your seat, because he's funnier than you anyway.
We're not going to allow our guest who is here early, but that's military protocol. Never be late. Always be early.
Oh my God. Okay.
But I do want to get through this very quickly with Rachel Maddow. I want people to understand, and again, it is actually pretty fortuitous that our guest is running for the U.S. Senate in the state of North Carolina, a very consequential swing state in the country. And he's running as green. So as I mentioned, if you think there's a difference between voting red and blue, especially when it comes to foreign policy, here's what Rachel Maddow had to say regarding this war.
Cui bono, right? Who benefits? It's always useful to start that question in any country. Who benefits? Who wants Iran bombed off the map and for their own reasons? Who are Iran's rivals and enemies? Perennially, it's the Gulf Arab states, countries like Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates and Qatar.
And why is that? Why is that, Rachel? Do you know why? No, she does know why, but she doesn't say it, and she gives no context, and she totally knows. I can't with her either. God, that's infuriating.
But she forgot to mention one other particular country, Jen, and I'm wondering why she would forget to mention them.
Well,
Why is that?
Qatar. the country that just gave Donald Trump a really, really nice $400 million plane, really a gilded flying palace for his own use, both during his presidency, and after. Trump plans to take that plane with him and keep using it after he leaves office, if he ever leaves office. And you remember United Arab Emirates, famous for recently structuring a totally pointless crypto financial transaction so that $2 billion of it would be stuffed into the Trump family's otherwise worthless brand new crypto financial firm. And of course, you remember the Saudis, who stuffed another $2 billion into the pockets of Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, just as Trump's first term in office came to a close. You might remember enough people were alarmed about that when it happened that the Trump folks actually sort of bothered to come up with an excuse for what made that okay. They said, don't worry, Jared will never again work for the U.S. government. He's never coming back to Washington. So it's okay that he's taken all this money from the Saudis now. We will never have to worry about having somebody involved in U.S. policy who has also just been given billions of dollars by Saudi Arabia, apparently for no reason. Well, that was the explanation when he took all that money from the Saudis at the end of Trump's first term. And now today, who has been leading the negotiations on behalf of the United States government with Iran before we just started this war with them today? I mean, Secretary of State Marco Rubio was in St. Kitts this week. It wasn't him. No, it was Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, recently paid billions of dollars by Iran's chief rival, and nevertheless sitting there alongside Trump's tiny real estate friend, Steve Witkoff, who has sought recently to improve his considerable family fortunes by going to Qatar to seek money from its sovereign wealth fund.
I don't understand what the point of her story is. What am I missing? So what you're saying is, Rachel, that you would be more satisfied if that were Marco Rubio sitting there and you would be getting the same exact result?
Or is this lady actually trying to convince her audience, the shitlib audience of shitlib audiences, that the interests of Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff lie with their business relationship with Qatar and not Israel, even though they have been going to Tel Aviv nonstop for years now with the Greater Israel Project, most notably the Gaza Riviera that they are now planning to build. How they think they're ever going to get away with that is beyond me.
Justin has a good question. How many American lives have been lost in our wars for Qatar?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah.
So, oh, she's not done? She's got more?
No, that's it. I just want people to understand that your propaganda, it comes from all different directions.
And and it is important for people who don't know that why those states that she's discussing are UAE and Qatar and all those like Gulf Arab monarchy states that are always doing our bidding for us because they are on the payroll. They're on the payroll. They're on the payroll. So it isn't that we're helping them because of, their fight with Iran. No. They're on our payroll, which is why Iran is bombing them. You see, because they're going after our bases. And what's going to happen is we won't have them there anymore. Again, that's the strategy. And Jon Stewart, he is now in the same category as Rachel Maddow. That's what we're talking about. Seriously, that should be embarrassing.
Well, it should be, but we are living in a revolutionary change era now.
I'm here for it.
And if there is somebody who is going to be part of leading that change, that revolutionary change, it is Marine Sergeant Brian McGinnis. And it takes, again, not just a lot of intestinal fortitude to put on the Marine uniform and basically defy essentially what was considered a move that he shouldn't have made. But nevertheless, the one thing that the military-industrial complex cannot afford in this country, it can afford the likes of hippies like Medea Benjamin coming into.
Why do you say hippies like it's so derogatory?
I'm using it in the context of what they. Could you please let me talk? if it's done in the context of, well, it's Medea Benjamin, you know, she's a lovey-dovey, a tree-hugging person.
No,
You know, we've come to expect her to disrupt Senate hearings over the military-industrial complex. But when a Marine sergeant steps in there in his regalia and says, we will not fight for this, well, that's a problem, because the ones that they are expecting to go and die for this cause, they see somebody like Brian do that, and now they're going to think about it. And the second you hesitate is the second the military-industrial complex cannot conscript this nation to go along to get along with its endless wars around the globe. And if for an instant we can change the fortunes of the future of the United States, maybe, just maybe, this will be that starting point where we can make it happen.
I hope so. I hope so.
Once a Marine, always a Marine, and candidate for the U.S. Senate on the Green Party ticket in North Carolina, Brian McGinnis. Welcome to Revolutionary Change.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm sorry, I can't hear anything. My bad.
We can hear you.
We hear you, okay?
Good.
Yeah.
I got
I can't
fireworks
hear
going on.
anything.
Because you did that. You did the thumbs up thing. And if you do the peace sign, you get the balloons, apparently.
I didn't know that.
I'm
That's
sorry,
how
I
it
can't.
happened that
Oh,
last
man,
time.
what's going on?
All right, so
So now you're muted.
Yeah, maybe I'll leave and come back.
Try
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Try it.
I am hopeful that, you know, look, Matthew Ho paved the way in terms of dealing with the ballot issues and fighting the Democrats on behalf of the Greens in North Carolina. And I believe they were successful in that case. Let's see if that works.
All right, let's try it again. Can you hear us now, Brian? All right, there we go.
All right.
Hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Hi, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thank you very much. How are you guys?
We're good. How's your arm?
I'm
I
on the
mean-
mend. They took great care of me at the George Washington University Hospital, and the surgeon put my bones right back together with some plates and screws. So all back to normal.
I just have to tell you, like, it almost makes me cry because I was so enraged watching how you were treated. And, you know, it's disgraceful. This is disgraceful. I don't even know any other way to say it. But before we get too into it, I just have to know, are you and Josie brother and sister?
Oh, you know, in spirit for sure.
Okay.
I
Because
would be grateful to be associated with her passion, and for the well-being of others is beyond, and I'm so inspired by being around her, and I'm so thankful to be around her.
No, okay, but you're not related is the point.
No,
Okay. Because I thought you were
she's a
related.
Louisiana girl. I'm an Illinois boy, so
Okay.
Brian, it appears that there is this growing movement outside the two-party duopoly. It's pretty obvious. And one thing that the Green Party has always had a very hard time with is shaking its tree hugger image, if you will. Not that we are not pro-environment, but
Again, with the negative hippie speak. Stop
you got to
that.
let me have my moment, sister. So ostensibly what's happening here, and I think it's a genius move, because I do think that there is something to be said for, as you often say, Jen, most people need upper management. They need somebody to lead them. And so between yourself, Josephine, Anthony Aguilar, Greg Stoker, it does seem that there is this movement, this anti-war movement that is coming from those that actually served in combat. Can you talk about the implications of what that means, and perhaps the responses you've been getting from fellow cadets, former and current?
I'm feeling as if there's needed to be a change, and personally, and I'm so motivated to see that it's resonating with other people, like you said, with Greg Stoker and Tony also running in. There's a lot of unconventional candidates stepping up to run for elections, and I really see that's just a obvious product of the times and what our government's done up until this point. And we're finally waking up, and we're finally had enough with them not being checked or not doing what we're asking for them to do.
One of the things that is going to become a lot more obvious, if it isn't already, is whether or not anyone witnessed what actually transpired this past week. most people are probably not going to bother to watch, but they are going to read headlines like this. And this type of disingenuous reporting, that's putting it nicely, always used with very specific language, not to wind up with a lawsuit. Lord knows some of them are asking for it. But when the New York Post, and again, no surprise from them, GOP Senator Tim Sheehy helps Capitol Police remove a protester. You know, they're so pro-military until the person actually doesn't follow the warpath, who allegedly injured 3 cops and appeared to break his own arm because, you know, you just were getting tired of, you know, having good use of it. So, you know, maybe if you broke it, it would heal back better. You know, they've heard those reports before. But what does it say to you when they feel that they, even with actual footage of what happened, and yet they still want to push this propaganda? What does that say to you in terms of their ability to maintain the narrative?
It reveals such the infinite lengths they'll go to try to deny or project false narratives to maintain their narrative. And I think that's degrading as time goes on. I think the next generation, the younger generations, are becoming so internet savvy that they can pick out deceit a mile away. That's at least my hope, and that's truly what I think. And like my sister said, she's read some articles about me, and knowing the person or the subject, and then reading how, you know, the authors can spin things is just an insight to how off target media can be. And I just think we can amplify that and inform people to know that it's easily managed by those who control the media, and it should just highlight how information is power. And if we continue to, you know, expose how all our media groups are very controlled by very few people, and how Zionists have taken over CBS and Paramount Plus and other big media groups just recently, and Benjamin Netanyahu talking about the Eighth Front with the social media department being made, and just the amount of bots. I think the younger generation is really up to speed and is prepared for this, and I really hope that we can make a brave departure from the duopoly and move on to a third party, or even more, and just upgrade our choices. Because for the last 3 or 4 elections, we've just making the prisoner's choice with the lesser of two evils, and that's just unacceptable, being that we're in the best country in the world. So I just hope that the disappointment can spur us on to insist on change and insist on something. And if we become so fed up, then I think it's time for a third party. And I understand Democrats really have a hesitancy to want to vote green or vote third party because it feels like you're throwing your vote away. Well, in my case, in North Carolina, Governor Cooper has already started to try to deny this resolution number 1, which would stop arming Israel, or have America stop arming Israel. And the North Carolina Democrats worked very hard to table this, or to have this issue approved. And Governor Cooper and Josh Stein are already insisting they're not going to approve it. So that's just blatant not listening to your people. And again, just one of the many reasons why we have to wake up to the duopoly being bought out by corporations, and we need a free and clear party like the Green Party that doesn't take any money like that. And so, all that being said,
okay,
I hope the people are brave enough to make that move and fed up enough to make that move.
Well, I think you inspire that, but I also wanted, and without any details, but as an attorney, I just want, you have a good lawyer, right? You got a good lawyer?
Yeah,
Okay.
we got a great
That's
lawyer.
all I want to know. I just want to make sure you have a good lawyer, because the people in the chat want to make sure that you know that you're entitled to action. Okay. And I know that you can't give a lot of any information about that, but I feel good knowing you have a good lawyer. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's always when I'm always going to check that first.
For sure.
What's been the response from fellow Marines in particular after what happened?
I got a Marine chat group. We've done a couple of reunions lately. Sorry about this. And I was detained and my phone was unavailable to me. So they had a long chat going while I was detained, and I read through the chats, and I was just so overwhelmed with their support and brotherhoodness and their comments. And so those guys, they have my back. I've got a lot of emails from veterans through my campaign website. Overwhelmingly 98% support, genuine, long drawn out messages telling me we agree with you 100%, 1000%. We're so proud of what you did. You spoke for so many of us, those kinds of messages. And so I was just so overwhelmed and happy to read that, and assured that is the sentiment of a lot of Americans. And so that felt good to hear, and it's a good sign, I think.
Let me ask you, because we were just talking about this before you came on, and I have been noticing, and specifically because of people like you and people like Anthony and Greg, there seems to be a rift within military, among veterans, among active duty people, that this is not what people signed up for. And I think that I'm seeing that more and more. And then you hear things about, well, what was going on the carrier in terms of them like sabotaging the plumbing or whatever, they were doing. And it makes me think like, okay, we're in a whole different time where they have access to the information. To some extent, they have access with the outside world, their social media, like they see what is going on in there in terms of, is there somewhat of a rift that's happening? I mean, am I imagining this?
It's so hard to tell. I hate to say this, but it's been 25 years for me or so since I've been in. The military is such a different environment than the citizen world. And so that's a big separation. And yes, the culture is different from when I was in the military. So this is makes it hard for me to be able to give you an insight. But those are good points. With the ever increasing availability of internet access, even when you're on a deployment and more connected to the world news and things, I wonder if that has an effect. I do have hope that these younger generations are more internet savvy, more informed, have a little bit more critical thinking skills. Our government is giving them less, so they don't have as much reason to give them a pass on things. I think they'll hold the government to the coals because they can't afford house, they can't afford much, and so and we just have a long history since the Twin Towers of this war campaign, and we've had a lot of time for holes to be poked in their story, and 9/11 is full of holes. One I'd like to mention is how these firefighters' wives spent millions of dollars trying to ask for accountability and go through the judicial system for proper investigations, and they were quieted with even billions of dollars, and the lengths that have been taken to just quiet everybody, it can't help but build suspicion. And so yeah, I think there could be some dissension between our ranks in the military. That's a big point of contention. I feel hesitant to want to speak about that because I know there's so much fear indoctrinated in the casual American citizen. I go saying, become a conscientious objector, and then people are going to say, hey, you're depleting our defense. But I'm coming from a place where we're America. We have the largest military in the world. Let's give that a little faith and not act scared and react on fear. and don't let this fear mongering narrative affect us. But yeah, I'm rambling, but I have a nephew in the Marines. Of course I care about his well-being, and I'm scared for him and how they'll utilize him. I have other friends that are active in the military, and so I have concern for all those. And those are just, to circle back, those are the reasons why I acted out at the briefing at the Senate halls. But
I think you did what needed to be done. I think in so many respects, you have become a symbol for what often is not the focal point, which hadn't been, pretty much since Vietnam, which is they cannot afford to have somebody in uniform, especially a Marine, saying that this is wrong, because then people start to think. They can dismiss, again, Medea is a hero to us, but she's also somebody who was easily dismissed on the Hill because she is a left protester since Vietnam. That's how long she's been doing this. So that's come to be expected. But when the voices of those that have actually spilled blood on the battlefield say that this is wrong and we shouldn't do this, you can't silence that, especially now. Even when everything started back in 2002 and everyone kind of knew where it was going, and while there was hesitancy in many respects, and everyone just kind of accepted it at face value when General Powell did what he did, I think now that even if a five-star general went up there and did it and said, well, Iran's going to blow us off the base, like, people just don't believe it anymore. Just like what happened in Michigan today. People are like, you know what? I'm not convinced that there isn't something more to this now. Now everyone's questioning everything. And that to me leads us to what I think is, in terms of a fortuitous time to be here, to discuss what I think is a very important story. And Colin, could you please check the chat? There are members of the military now that are basically telling the cadets that they're on a mission from God now, that there is this break in the separation of church and state, and that what they are essentially supposed to do. I don't have any respect for Hegseth whatsoever. I don't even acknowledge anything that guy does, because he's just a puppet anyway.
I think I'm going to start calling him Keg Breath. Keg Breath. I think that just seems better to me. I'm sorry. Continue.
But the point is, we're faced in a situation now where we really, if there is a reason why, again, I did not join, but I came very close when I was 18. And one of the reasons that you end up joining the military in the first place, regardless of which branch, is because I would think for you and for most, it is in defense of our Constitution. That is our document that is more important than any other document outside of the Magna Carta and, of course, the Declaration of Independence. And that's what we believe in. And if you're a Christian or any other denomination, that's fine. But there is a point where you separate the two. And when you completely denigrate the First Amendment by removing the separation of church and state and saying that, no, you're fighting for God, you're not fighting for your Constitution, I would like to think that that's a very big problem. And it is not going to go over well with a lot of members of the military.
Right.
I agree with you, and I hope it's such an open-ended statement. And I fear, though, for the group mentality to be overtaken by a strong voice, or at least a highly appointed voice, and to overpower these undeveloped minds. And I look back, it was one of my other points was that when I was a younger kid, I was there just to execute orders, didn't have a lot of confidence to think for myself, and not a lot of life experience. That being said, this doing this for God narrative is scary when they've got all our military guys cooped up in their own little bases under their thumb. And it really is scary to think they're trying to wield the world's most powerful military in this fashion. So this is very distressing. But I'll go back to my hope that the the American youth have progressed and evolved to a point where they're not going to fall for it. And so that's where my hope lies.
My concern, Jen, you had a thought?
I just wanted to respond to Corky Shilley saying in the chat, I think people also join the military due to lack of economic opportunity, damn straight, and especially in certain vulnerable communities. And we've spoken about that. Remember when we had Isaiah on here and he said, yeah, that was our jobs program. That was the jobs program in the neighborhood that he grew up in. So yeah, very much so.
And I also have no doubt that, especially with the, what would be a complete disaster if they even intimated the idea that they were going to implement some type of a draft, that what you're going to see now, which I think is something that's probably become a lot more common than people realize, is they are going to do some type of insane sign-up bonuses to get people to join, make them unconscionable levels of financial guarantees that they'll probably have to pay up front rather than out on the back end. And we all know there are many cases where they get stiffed. But in this case, hey, $100,000, here it is, you join, and etc. But this type of language, lawmakers want Department of Defense, Hegseth investigated for biblical Armageddon claims that they're somehow going to create this second coming of Christ. It's regardless of what you believe, the idea that you would invoke this type of language to me says that they don't care one lick about anybody who's serving in the military. They're just grunts, all of them. And they could just be, they're just as you know very well. It's one of the first things you learn when you're in the Marines, when you're going into the combat zone. You're an FNG. You're a fucking new guy. Go to the front line, see if you can hack it for a few weeks. And if you can, then maybe you can survive warfare. If you can't, you're a dead man walking anyway. So there you go. And that's basically what they're telling anybody who's going to walk in there. Hey, get ready to die for our cause, but at least you'll be doing it for the biblical proportions that we're trying to espouse right now. That doesn't seem to be going over too well. I am incensed over this. And I can imagine from your perspective that on the one hand, this is very dangerous language, but on the other hand, they're showing their hand. And that is not going to convince people that they should be joining anyway. They probably are thinking, yeah, maybe it's time that we maybe go in another direction here. Maybe there's a better fate in our lives than dying for this cause. How do you see this unfolding as more of this information comes out?
To see them come completely in line with what I've been scared about all along. This, this is prophecy, and this is how it's just going to be. For that psyop to work on people is so boastful, so what's the word I'm looking for? So confident, but more or less cocky to make such a statement. It's a statement made only with false confidence, only as a con artist can pull off. This can't have any real genuine heart.
They're bombastic beyond comprehension,
and it's just relying on a full-on external, visual, overpowering external sensory to just overwhelm these people and push them into this fight or into this situation. And sadly, it's not hard to do with a bunch of young, full of adrenaline boys who have come to the military for their own purpose and wanting to prove themselves and are ready to listen to anything that they're told. It's a really dangerous system that they've developed, and it's up to me now as a 44-year-old, you, Peter, you, Jen, as adults who have some wisdom to give and try to warn others of at least tell people what they're up to and what they're trying to do, and that the real meaning behind all this isn't just to defend our country. It's
defend empire.
Yeah, provide empire and pad the pockets of these billionaires feed these military industrial complex corporations. And it's not for the brave reasons that young men and women step up to the fight for. It's just to pad the pocket, and we are less and less valuable to them, and they're not even trying to hide it anymore. So
agreed. A complaint shared by an anonymous non-commissioned officer to the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, or the MRFF, claimed that non-commissioned officers were told that the Iran war is part of God's plan and that President Donald Trump was anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to Earth, as originally reported by journalist Jonathan Larson. Between Saturday and through Tuesday afternoon, MRFF logged more than 200 similar complaints across 50 installations encompassing every branch of the military. Its founder, Mikey Weinstein, told military.com. The accusations, which received no direct response from the Pentagon when inquired by military.com, have drawn widespread attention, in part due to the Pentagon's open embrace of Christianity through monthly prayer services. In addition to appearances and speaking engagements by Defense Secretary, God, just the audacity of having that bastard in that position, Pete Hegseth, at Christian-themed events. MRFF is composed roughly of 95% Christians. On Friday, Congressional Free Thought Caucus co-chairs Representatives Huffman of California and Raskin of Maryland, and House Armed Services Subcommittee on Military Personnel ranking member Christy Houlihan of Pennsylvania led 27 of their Democratic colleagues in requesting U.S. DOD Inspector General Platt Moring III to open an investigation into these reports and claims invoking religious prophecy and apocalyptic theology to justify the U.S. military actions in Iran. Now, if there is any truth to this, which I'm sure there is, you really have to also think, on the other hand, they are digging so deep at the bottom of the barrel to try to convince people that this is a cause worth fighting for, that they really don't have anything else. They're kind of in desperation mode at this point. What do you think?
Being from where I am, I have a lot of friends who are really evangelical or just Protestant Christian folks that buy into this, and they've just thrown their hands up and just say it's fate. And it's that lack of critical thinking about what is at stake with war and how brutal it is. And they just miss all that. They don't care to see that. They don't see Palestinians as human. They don't see Iranians as human. The Arab and Persian culture is just so different than American culture. It's easy to lead them astray with this propaganda to just villainize them, and all that all that separation. Sadly, I know a lot of people who buy into these Christian stories and this long-time Christian prophecy, and it is disturbing. But what's the percentage of United States citizens it takes to keep our military running? Like 2%. And so that's a small percent. And with 333 million people, they're going to find these people. And this is not to be a defeatist or a negative guy, but these are just it's just sad facts of reality. And with the development of drones with guns and more, I hope that, like in the Terminator 2 movie, humans can beat the machines, man. And that's the fight. That's the fight we're facing. And we've got to be rebels from within and speak against this and fight it. But sadly, I know that there's a lot of Christian people that believe this stuff, don't pay it much more mind, and just take it for the surface value. And it's a real disturbing fact. And I really have gone down some real downward spirals over the last 2.5 years, trying to speak against the genocide, trying to speak against war, sharing my thoughts on that. And the hardest part is hitting a brick wall with a friend that I care and respect about. And that's happened countless times. And that's tough, but it's given me, it just makes you stronger. And we're not going to give up. And the cause is too important.
So I know, wait, I want to ask, so I'm going to get a little personal, just a little personal. So I know your wife is Palestinian, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
she's American Palestinian.
American Palestinian. So, like, how long have you been aware of this situation? Because we all know this didn't start on October 7th of
No.
23. Okay, right. So, while now more people are aware of it, obviously you are someone that has been involved in terms of seeing it from the other side for quite a while. So, would you just talk a little bit like what was that like for you? Because you're signed up to do what you think is what's best for America. And we're fighting for American freedom and for democracy and all this stuff. And then now you meet someone and love someone who is of the vulnerable and oppressed people that are at the feet of American empire. And it's like, how is that? Like, how did you deal with that?
Oh, thank you so much for asking me that, Jen. Yeah, I'm such a hypocrite. I was so indoctrinated at some point. So when I met my wife, and I still had those indoctrinated thoughts. I remember telling her, well, 9/11, the Palestinians were cheering in the streets. And she's like, oh my gosh. And so I started from that point, but slowly but surely through our relationship, just, coming together, becoming friends, trusting each other. And then also a big breaking through point was her mother would travel back to the West Bank to visit her mother, my wife's grandma. And in doing so, she would be held at the checkpoints. She would be given minimized visas to where she would have to travel back to Jordan, get another visa and come back, all disrupting what? Her visiting her mother back where she was born. My wife's mom was born in the West Bank. And that alone and the sweetness and genuine loyalty that my mother-in-law exhibits, and then the treatment she would face was a big wall, like a barrier bring down. That was really opening my eyes and seeing, because I think a lot of us just can't really perceive the amount of cruelty some people face. I know myself, I'm a white privileged male. And so it's taken me a long time to see things through Black people's points of view, women's points of view, others that just have a different place in the world and face different issues. And so that being said, it's been a long journey to come around and learn about oppression and really put it on myself and feel it for myself. But through my wife and through the Palestinians, broadcasting their suffering. And I really was waking up before October 7th. So when October 7th did hit, I knew the writing was on the wall, and that caused me a real spiral. And I got Tom Tillis's email reciting the false 40 beheaded babies. And I just knew that was going to cause such a stir in all the people that I was like just, 5-10 years before that were just ready to just mindlessly follow 40 beheaded babies. Oh yeah, kill them all. That's all I'm going to think about that. My mind's made up. Over with the Arabs, over with the Middle East. And that's all it takes to fool the America. And that's why I just want to speak out so badly and never stop trying to reach, because it's such a falsehood. And we all are human. We all have so much more in common, whether we're from Asia or Africa or America. We all have so much more in common. We just want to be with our families, take care of each other, work hard, and live.
Yeah. And your babies deserve that.
Yes.
It's a very, very good friend of mine. Her wife is Palestinian and they have Palestinian baby. And it's a whole different perspective for her as a mother of a child that comes from people that are being treated like crap and abused and oppressed and violated. And there's like this whole mama bear thing, you know what I mean? So I get that with you. And it's like, and I feel for you because I can't even fathom, and your babies deserve so much better than this.
Yes, you're right. It takes on such a different point of view when you're caring for these young, pure souls that are sweet and cuddly and have nothing to do with these huge, big issues. You know, they're so removed, but they'll get wrapped up. They could potentially be hurt by them. So it's tough.
Yeah. How old are your kids? They're not little.
Yeah, we have a 10-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son, and we have 7-year-old twin sons.
Oh my God.
Got a brood.
That's a lot of babies. No. You guys, you have to move over to like, you lose man on man once you hit that third kid, and you got to go to a zone defense.
That's right.
Once you lose the man to man, I know. But then once you do that, why not have a fourth, right? It's like you already can't fly in one row.
Yeah.
You already, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're already there. You might as well.
Do you have some children, Jen?
I have two. I have a
Yes.
25 and a 19.
Oh,
So-
congratulations. I want to be like you someday. Good job.
You want to survive it? I will tell you that with each of my boys, when they turned 18, my husband and I were like high-fiving each other. It's like, woo, got them to adulthood in one piece. And by the way, it's not like they're gone after that. But like, I felt like my caregiving daily, keeping them alive was like, I felt like I got an A, you know, like it felt really good when they hit 18.
Yes, totally. You did it. Legally.
Yes.
I could learn so much from you guys, but of course, I'm the same.
But you don't need kids. You don't want kids. No.
What we do need to do is make sure that you have as much attention brought to your campaign and your cause as possible. And this will obviously get out there to a lot of people. But before you go, any last pitch or words you'd like to share? Obviously, this is a statewide race, but more importantly, this is the start of a movement that I think is going to last. A new Green Party, at least a new image for the Green Party. And I do think it's good. Well, I've been joking around with Tony and Greg saying, just call it the Green Beret Party. And you might actually, that's a real winner because there's just a good play on words, but we got to let the Marines in there too. Although the Marines like to play in their own sandbox. Sometimes you got to allow the other branches to join forces. You know, even the Coast Guard's allowed to come in. Everybody's got a role to play, brother.
Yes.
Final thoughts. And obviously, thank you very much for coming and for what you're doing. You know, we have your back, and I'm sure we are going to be talking again real soon as well.
Oh. Man, it means the world to me. Thanks for having me on. I want to say Greg Stoker is just a savant, man. The way he speaks and the way he can lay things out. Oh, he is incredible. I love listening to him. I love him. I got to meet him in D.C. at a veterans speech we were able to do together. Oh, he's surprisingly tall. And
he's very tall. I've seen him. I've seen that. Yeah.
So, really love that guy. Tony, like I mentioned before, having my back there at the Senate Hall against the senator who, wanted to get involved. And
Tony was ready to throw down.
Tony was right there.
Man, you want it? Let's do it.
Let me tell you though, seriously, I would have been ready to throw down there.
Oh yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. And I appreciate that so much. So it's so good to be with those guys and the rest of our Green Party here in North Carolina. Everybody is so dug in, so genuine. And so I'm so excited, and that gives me so much hope. And so I just say real quick to the people, the Green Party is people, planet, and peace above profit. We don't accept corporate donors. We don't accept PAC money. I believe in health as a human right, affordable housing, childcare, quality education, and free public higher education. And those are the kind of things that the Green Party represents. The Green Party are the people you want to hang out with. We are regular people. I think the usual politicians are just, CEOs or disconnected folks. And so, yeah, we're of the people, and we want to fulfill the wills of the people. So,
well, I have 2 votes for you because my parents live in Candler outside of Asheville. So,
hey, great.
I could do that for you. Yeah, they'll vote for you.
Awesome.
They are the hippies. They were the hippies. So
Asheville.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Got a lot of rolling around to do, but keep doing it. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you so much, Brian. It was an honor to meet you. Really, you're
you
badass.
guys. It was an honor to meet you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
It's great seeing the little kitties like running around in the background the whole time.
Yes, people have children. People have their children. Mine aren't here. Mine don't live with me.
Well, You live up in the, you really are up in the mountains now, or like in the
No, I'm moving into a valley tomorrow. Tomorrow I move into my little farm. I move in tomorrow.
Well,
And I'm in the Armurchie Valley. If anybody is
what is it called?
well, it's spelled Armuchee, but it's called Armurchie.
Armurchie.
Just like the town that I live in, most people would say Lafayette. It isn't. It's Lafayette. It's Lafayette.
Well,
and that's how they know people who aren't from here. It's kind of funny. So I'm working on it.
Well, our audience is feeling extra generous tonight, so you have a little bit of spending money for groceries. Hopefully, that'll be a good start.
I'm growing my own food. That's the thing. I'm growing my own food.
Well, money for making your own produce, I guess would be a better way to put it.
You guys can help me support my new chickens.
Now, there is no way that I can actually pronounce this name. Fakharisado. That's what I'm saying. Thank you very much for becoming a YouTube member. Jim Talib, thank you for the $5. Always a pleasure.
We're starting our garden. Yes.
Citizen Pendejo with the 20 pesos. Big PR win. 46% say Trump's Israel first. 47% USA first. No, that's not good. Not good. Not good. Not looking good. Pirate Justin with the $2. Oy vey, the shenanigans begin. Steadfast, y'all. We're working on it. Citizen Pendejo with the 20 pesos again. YouTube shadow banning revolutionary change hard. Good.
Always.
Tyler Always. Apparently got the boot the other day as well. Yeah, hey, the great noticing continues. Citizen Pendejo with the 20 pesos. Wait till Yemen moves on the Red Sea. $16 a gallon.
Again, and it's interesting that, and thank you for bringing up Yemen, because it's so interesting how Trump and company are so confident that this is all going to just be handled. They still haven't been able to handle Ansar Allah. They still haven't been able to deal with what's going on in the Red Sea. So, and that's, Yemen is not Iran. So I think this is just, yeah, it's over for us.
Substack of Hattie with the €2. How to sponsor your show to promote Substack of Hattie. Yeah, we really, like, honest to God, Rachel, if you're listening, I want that Substack stuff ready to go, because I want to be able to post the posts that I'm putting out there, at the very least getting that up on Substack.
You know what? Then you could work on the Substack. Go work on the Substack.
I have been. I'm the one writing the content.
Okay, you want to be a writer, write for Substack. That's
just
good.
Need to have an account, whatever it takes.
We have an account.
Okay, so then we should start posting there. Let's start doing that. Valra64 with the $5. Hey, I'm glad y'all are talking about current events, but I'm puzzled by your praising of China. They are even worse off than we are.
In what way?
In what way? Let me know. I didn't say, I'm not here screaming about how I'm going to go to China. And by the way,
praising China, I think that regarding how they handle diplomacy and foreign policy, we could learn a little bit from them.
Yes. And not only that, but you know what, Valras, have you been to China? Have you been to Beijing? Have you been to Shanghai? Have you been amongst the culture? Because
check out our Red Meat Media.
I have a good business partner that lives in Tennessee, very conservative, had opinions about China, but finally went there for a few weeks at the end of last year. His opinion about China has changed dramatically. Not that he doesn't think that there aren't problems in the country, there certainly are, but especially in terms of their technological advancement compared to our country, it's night and day. You're talking about an advanced culture versus a culture that can't get out of the fucking 19th century in many respects. So yeah, not here to say that China is a saint, but if you think that China doesn't have advantages over our country, trust me, they do, and ones that we certainly should want to have here. Noah Linden with the $10. America overthrew Iran's democracy, then installed Saddam and had him kill 1 million Iranians. Strangled Iran with sanctions for decades. And Iran is the unhinged nation. It never did anything to us.
That's what I've been saying. Neither has China. Neither has Russia. So again, I'm waiting for some evidence that these are people that are enemies.
Noah Linden with the $2. Clarification, America installed Saddam in Iraq. Yes, that is true. They also installed Osama bin Laden to fight the Russians in Afghanistan. So there was also that. Willie Bragg with the $5. Subscribe to the Willie Bragg channel on YouTube, guys. I stopped listening to Rachel Mad Cow when we started with Russiagate. They also associated Tulsi Gabbard, Jill Stein, and Bernie Sanders with Russia. Hey, it paid. Ira Justin with the $2. Jonathan Stewart Leibowitz. Yeah, just because he's Jewish doesn't mean that he's a bad guy. But if he supports Israel, then he's a bad guy.
Yeah, Soul on Tape, if you're still watching, the Jew woman isn't happy with the commentary. The Jew woman is here. It's half my channel, and I'm not going. So, bye-bye. Yeah. Okay.
From Aya Zvergy with the $49.99. Love the Revolutionary Change team. Bless you. Refreshing to see brutally honest and authentic reporting not found in legacy media. Thank you. Thank you for making our lives just a little bit more tolerable doing this show because of how badly it is suppressed, despite all the hard work we put in. We appreciate you. Substack of Hadi with the €5. U.S. and Israel want Muslims to destroy each other. If Iran and Arabs start killing each other, the U.S. and Israel will exit the war. Substack of Hadi. You know what? That's a reasonable assumption. Listen. They're gonna try everything. There's no question that they will.
But I think at the end we're losing this. I think at the end that's not going to work because the Arab Gulf states. It's a very big difference between what their people want and what the leadership is. The people in those states are much more in solidarity with Iran and the Palestinians and wish that their leadership was not our bitch. So that's the thing.
Aya Zaverji, who is feeling unbelievably generous this evening with the $99.99. Thank you for having Brian on.
Thank you, Ayaz.
Yes, very much so. And we thank you and we appreciate you. Dancer7691, thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. We really appreciate it.
She's in Australia.
Aussie.
And just so you know, my cousin lives in Queensland. I have a cousin in Queensland. I've never been to see her there. I'd like to.
Maybe they know each other.
I don't even know that this woman lives in Queensland. I'm just saying.
Angela Smith with the $5. Did you see Guy Christensen's video on how the elite stole Christianity? Great video. Thank you both for everything you do. Thank you for your support, and I will check out. We will.
We love Guy.
Absolutely. He's a good guy. Pirate Justin with the $2. Say no to religious fanaticism in our armed forces. Amen.
See, she lives in Melbourne.
Oh,
I wasn't suggesting that everybody in Australia knows each other. You were.
Jamie Slomiak with the $5. They say that crayons are great for bone health and repair. I salute you, my brother. Thank you, Jamie. $2 from Pirate Justin again. Yemen hasn't even entered this fight yet. Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll be on the right side of justice. And Marvin Vargas with the $1.99. When U.S. loses Cuba next, Trump needs a W.
But he's not getting one. I know they want one. He keeps declaring them, right? Like they declared a ceasefire. It never happened. He declares that this is going to be over in a few days. That's never going to happen. He says a lot of things. And I actually think the people that surround him confirm it. Like, I think they blow that smoke up his ass. And I do think that's part of it. And he, like I said, he's not that bright to begin with. So,
no, he's definitely not. But I also want to point out that if there is a theme,
yeah, this
that we're
winning. We're winning.
Remember that speech he gave recently where he said, yes, we're totally winning. We've won so much, Mr. President. I can't take it anymore.
How about when he came out and said exciting times? Yeah, it's just really exciting. You know what? And as much as I don't hold children responsible for the actions of their parents, yeah, send Barron. Let Barron go over there and go fight in Iran. And yeah, do we ever get any follow-up on Ben Gvir?
No, which also means that
it's weird.
Which as Valia says, is Ben Gvir still dead? The fact that there is radio silence to me says that he very likely is deceased. And couldn't happen to a better person.
It's too little. It's just such a drop in the bucket. It is satisfying, but nowhere near enough, right? Like, no.
Well, Netanyahu's brother is deceased. Smotrich's son is deceased. Hey, they're all going to get theirs, and they're all getting it now. My concern, of course, is will they go out like a spiraling tornado and the threat of a nuclear bomb becomes that much more likely?
There's a bunch of Aussies in the house, Darren. We just had a whole conversation. There's a girl from Melbourne in there. Get together. Get it together in there, Darren. Maybe you guys live near each other.
Speaking of being put into positions of power that people have absolutely no business being in whatsoever, the idea that Erika Kirk is being placed on the Air Force Academy Board of Directors. You almost have to wonder if there's like a person within this administration who's just saying, we need a revolution and we need to make it look as obvious as possible. We need to make it so that no one questions anything that we're doing. I tried the peace sign, it didn't work.
Well, how come?
There it is.
Oh, that's the okay, so maybe that peace one isn't there anymore. That was the one that got the balloons. That when those balloons went by, it was from that. So now apparently that gets something for you. It doesn't work for me.
Colin, can I please have the story?
Why can't I get fireworks? It's so sad. Why didn't see? Now she looks like she's dressed for a funeral.
As James Lee says, they are just effing with us at this point. I don't know who in their right mind would think that this is appropriate, or that, I mean, we already are in a situation where everybody's looking at everything that's going on and saying something doesn't add up here. This doesn't make any sense. And the more suspicious I think people are regarding whether or not Erika had knowledge or was involved in Charlie's removal.
I don't care about any of that right now. That's not even relevant to this. You realize this is absurd. This is absurd. Other than apparently she's very good at recruiting people into child trafficking. So maybe they feel like she'd be good recruiting people to this. I mean, I don't understand what her qualifications are to be this.
I don't think she has any, Jen. That's the story. And when you ask yourself, you know, how do we get here? How do we end up with this person in a position of authority? What are her qualifications? And then
again, I'm not capable of knowing her skill set, but I do think that she is definitely like a Manchurian type of situation. She's been being groomed since forever. I mean, this goes so deep.
If she even had even a modicum of self-awareness, you would think that she would say, maybe this isn't the best look. Maybe I shouldn't do this.
Yeah, no opinions, right? You know, these are the people that are so anti-DEI. That's a total DEI thing.
And the other thing that a number of the defenders have been bringing up is that this was Charlie Kirk's position. First of all, what qualified Charlie Kirk to sit on a government appointment position with the United States Air Force? That's number one. And number two,
now sometimes appointments are meant to be civilian positions in things, and I get that, okay, but this is not something that should like be bequeathed to your spouse upon your death.
Yeah, well, that's essentially what they're doing here. Scroll.
I can't.
Erika Kirk's appointment to the Air Force Academy's Board of Visitors has left many displeased. Upon news of the appointment going viral, netizens repeatedly pointed to how the mother of two wasn't qualified for the role.
I still don't think those are their kids. I don't think those are her kids, but anyway.
Maybe not. Erika Kirk has previously been criticized for taking over her late husband's role as CEO of Turning Point USA. as she recently addressed the comments in a video shared on the nonprofit social media pages. Could we just highlight that
her outfit where she's like, I want to be Cher?
Roll up for a minute. It's the absurdity of this, the pomp and circumstance, and it's still going on. That's the whole thing. They are putting themselves in a situation where everyone is looking at them thinking, all right, something went down with Charlie and you guys were involved in some way, shape, or form.
I don't even think they're hiding it. That's the thing. I mean, they're not coming out and saying it, but they don't seem to be hiding it, because if they are, they're doing a really shitty job. I mean, she's basically screaming, I'm part of this story.
I'm guilty. Like, hey. But therein lies what you've been saying for the longest time, which started several years ago, pretty much during the Obama administration, when it became obvious that we had federally elected officials trading on inside information and no one was doing anything. And now we've come all the way forward into these pump and dump schemes like every other day. And normally this would land people in federal prison for decades, but that's not happening anymore. Now no one gets prosecuted for anything. So how do we not end up in a revolutionary change situation when no one trusts the system anymore? What's there to trust?
Colin, can you scroll so that people know you're alive? The people are concerned about you. Thank you. See, okay. Colin's fine.
Scroll up for a second, please. Okay. Jen, I'm going to refill my water. Can you please continue?
Months after Erika Kirk took over as the CEO of the nonprofit her husband, Charlie Kirk, founded, the mother of two has seemingly replaced him on the Air Force Academy's Board of Visitors. Sounds like a very important position. Erika was appointed by President Donald Trump to the new role, making her one of the possible 16 members who make up the board. She is also one of the 6 members whom the president handpicks. Very important. Other members on the board include politicians like 5th Congressional District Rep Jeff Crank of Colorado Springs, along with Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama, and Chairman Rep August Pfluger, and I don't know where he's from.
Right, that Tuberville is a real winner.
Tuberville's a total piece of crap. They are tasked with making inquiries into the morale, discipline, curriculum, instruction, physical equipment, fiscal affairs, and academic methods, and other matters relating to the academy. What are her qualifications about any of that? Is she a teacher? Does she have an academic background? Does she have a counseling background? No, she was involved in Romanian sex trafficking and handed a pageant crown that she clearly didn't do anything to earn. I don't know what her experience is. I don't understand any of this. This is silly. Prior to Charlie's death, he was actively involved with the board and made several recommendations and inquiries during the last meeting he attended on August 7, 2025. Yes, I'm sure Charlie Kirk was like the beacon of change and hope for the Air Force Academy. I'm sure his presence on that board was just changing it all up. And I'm sure she'll carry that torch forward.
On social media, Erika's appointment was quickly criticized, with many claiming she wasn't sufficiently qualified to fill the role. You think? This Erika Kirk appointment to this Air Force Academy board happened quietly over the weekend. See, they did this without any fanfare. They just stuck her in there, we're hoping that somebody wouldn't notice, but somebody did. With no formal announcement, Edison wrote, "I'm sorry, but being the widow of an influential husband does not qualify you to advise the Defense Department about Air Force standards."
Wait. Can you, seriously? Who said that? What idiot said that? Because, yeah, she's not qualified, but nothing about this has anything to do with Air Force standards. This has to do with the Air Force Academy. That's not the same thing. And that's very, like, see, that's really lazy. That's lazy.
Another user remarks, I'm sure her background as a pageant queen will be a big help. Third person noted, Donald Trump has appointed Erika Kirk to help advise the Defense Department on issues affecting the academy. We're in hell. Yeah, we are. Welcome to hell. What took you so long? Pleased to meet you. Hope you guessed my name. This is where we are. And
yeah, see, I knew that, Barry. The C word is used for both sexes in the UK. Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
whatever are her qualifications. And in the end, you can use this, and this has always been the problem with the two sides of the overeducated academia coin that always finds its way into liberal circles, to the you don't need an education anyway in the conservative circles. But what we are living through now, and Erika Kirk just happens to be one prime example of this. You think she's the only one? You think Pete Hegseth should be the defense secretary?
Okay. What scares me the most, and I said this in the very beginning, is that in my mind, the most qualified person in that administration is Marco Rubio.
And that's
and that's horrifying. Horrifying. And yeah, especially since he's willing to wear shoes that are too big for him just because he's too upset or too embarrassed to tell the president, I don't want to wear these shoes. They're too big for my feet, because apparently the president's making all these guys wear the same shoes.
So that story is a story that we will not cover in terms of it being a segment because it comes from the Miceless brothers. However, the absurdity of the fact that anyone who questions whether the Donald has lost his marbles, he likes shoes, and I do too, from Florsheim. I think it's a good store. However, the idea that he basically got a fleet of shoes for his administration, and they're all the same size. So some of them have shoes that are way too small. Some have shoes that are way too big.
And none of them are willing to say anything because they're such pussies. They're such little toady fools. I think so too. I think they're going to try to run her, and I think it's absurd, and I think it'll look as ridiculous, if not more so, than Sarah Palin did.
Are they really are they like trying to test the waters to see just how much this country can be pushed into why does it have to be a shit sandwich? Like at some point, people are just going to say, look, I've had enough of this. I can't.
Yeah. So the shoe thing is it's a pair of shoes that Trump has that he likes, and so he gets them for everybody, but he guesses their size, and then they just get what they get, and all of these fools all show up wearing these shoes because not one of them has the balls. And by the way, they're nothing so special. I mean, I'm sure they're okay shoes, but they're not anywhere near high-end shoes. And so I don't know. And there's a picture of Rubio with his feet that are like swimming in clown shoes. Well, and instead of saying something, he's just wearing big shoes.
Well, for those that don't know, Marco Rubio is actually a very short man, and he has been caught one too many times wearing platform shoes. I mean, so it's not like he hasn't had his own moments of embarrassment. You know, the funny thing is, Jen, we can remember all the way back in 2010. 2010, that's how long Rubio has been a fixture in the mainstream. When he was designated to give the State of the Union response to Obama. And that was when he took his swig of water.
Right.
And everyone thought, well, this guy's going to run for president in 2012. And that was the end of that. He still ended up being, he was considered, I shouldn't say, and he wasn't, but he was still considered to be a possible VP prospect for Romney at the time. He ended up choosing Paul Ryan instead. But that episode was an embarrassment. But for whatever reason, Rubio has always been there. He's always been considered this, person in wait for his opportunity.
Well, he's also sponsored by Miriam Adelson. I mean, his appointment was definitely something that was wanted by them, and he's always been a war hawk. Marco Rubio is a little war hawk. He'd probably never fight for anything for himself, but he has no problem sending everybody else's kids to go die.
That is correct.
Also, I do know this as somebody from Florida, from South Florida, and knowing a lot of people in the legal scene. I can tell you that he never practiced at the firm. It was just his name there on the letterhead, and he never tried a case. He never did, he's never really done anything. I'm just putting that out there.
I want to say, in terms of where we're going to conclude this evening, one of the problems that we've noticed, that I think a lot of people are noticing, is that our corporate media, which I don't think anybody really has any interest in watching anyway, regardless of what Zio scumsucker Ellison and the like choose to do as far as buying up all these institutions. The one thing that has become painfully obvious is that because they now control it and they are working on behalf of Israel, you are not seeing anything regarding the actions that Israel has been doing, whether it's the carpet bombing in Tehran or the massive destruction that Iran is inflicting upon Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. But I'll tell you one story that we did catch, which I think is worth mentioning. A priest was killed by an Israeli tank fire while helping wounded people in Lebanon. This is what Israel does. They kill, and it isn't so much that he's a Christian, he is a person of faith who tries to help those that need help. So naturally, they would do something like this. They also like to bomb children, which they've not only done in Tehran, they've done in southern Lebanon as well. And all the while, we now bring the story full circle for the evening, that when you see this shooting or attempt at one that happened earlier this evening in West Bloomfield.
Love your sarcasm, buddy. Buddy's dad.
Overwhelmed.
I'm astonished.
Drop site news reporting that the shooter at the synagogue, or the supposed or attempted shooter at the synagogue, is somebody who had his wife and kids murdered. Jen, how would you react if your children, if your boys were killed by Israeli bombs? I don't think you would be too kind about it, would you?
No, I'd probably be dead already, because I'd be setting shit on fire and killing people. So, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's what happens. That's a fuck around and find out situation. You go after someone's babies and you're going to fuck around and find out.
Is there a story attached to this, Colin? Can we slide it? So on Monday, on March 9th, it has been reported that Father Pierre Al-Rahi, the Maronite parish priest of Alaya in southern Lebanon, was killed by Israeli tanker fire. When a house in his Christian village was struck, he rushed to help the wounded. The tank struck again. He was hit and died of his wounds shortly thereafter. He had refused to evacuate. He said, "We are believers bound to our Lord, our land. We have done our best, so there are no military operations here. Pray for Father Pierre Al-Rahi and the Christians of South Lebanon." And as I pointed out at the beginning, the person in question who went to the synagogue, he's Lebanese, or at least that's what Drop Site News is reporting.
Wait, this is in Lebanon, so wouldn't he be Lebanese?
The person that went to the synagogue, according to Drop Site News, was Lebanese himself.
Oh, well, maybe, just maybe, it's someone who doesn't like their people being killed and displaced, because there's more than 500,000 Lebanese people that are currently displaced, that have to have been evacuated from their homes. So I don't know. Maybe somebody just got pissed off about that. Just a thought.
Oh, they're just being anti-Septic, Jen. Don't you understand?
Yeah.
But the Zionists will not win.
No.
They will not win because they're not really long for this fight. And we know they're not long for this fight because you're going to see a lot more stories like this. And this little doozy comes from...
They said he was previously ISIS? Whatever.
Who? The priest?
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, nothing would surprise me.
Well, that's what they would say. I mean, it's ridiculous, but that's what they would say.
But this is the important part of it here. They have nothing. They not only have nothing, but they're going to complain They're going to kvetch. They're going to do everything. One of the last things that Ben-Gvir did before, hopefully, he was eviscerated off of this planet.
No, Blue Lantern, we don't say RIP for Ben-Gvir.
No. What we say is
burn in hell.
Burn in hell, rest in piss, you will not be missed. That's a good one. How do you like that for a slogan, Jen?
I don't, and I do know what a Maronite priest is because I went to Maronite law school.
Rest in piss, you will not be missed. You can use that anytime you like. Just like voting blue.
Rot in hell. Burn in hell.
What you're going to see a lot of are stories like this. Well, we clearly see who has the ball sack in that relationship, but that's pretty much.
Eddie says he's not dead, that there were reports today, so I don't know.
Again,
be on the lookout.
Yeah, but you also have to, again, Mehdi, I don't give a shit what the reports say.
Right, they could be fake.
What I care about is that Gvir hasn't shown his face in public in days. That there has not been they said I was killed, but I'm still here. And
right, you would think he'd come out and say that. You would.
A guy like Gvir, oh, he's the most defiant fuck of them all. Like he's the one that would be. And the thing about Gvir, you also have to remember, and that's why all of this is so relevant now. One of the last things he did before he was hopefully, like I said, eviscerated off this planet, was that he was because remember, who is Ben-Gvir? Ben-Gvir is Heinrich Himmler. That's who he is. He is the Gestapo. He's the leader of the SS. And he's basically gone out in Israel now because of all the attacks and said that all Israelis have the right to arm themselves. So they now can all own guns. Not Palestinians, though. You see, they can't defend themselves. Everybody else
escaped to Argentina is true. Maybe he did. I don't know anymore. I don't believe a lot of it anymore, but yeah.
And can we, and before we continue, does anybody doubt that the three-headed dragon or the three-headed, beast, if you will, between Netanyahu, Gvir, and Smotrich, does anybody doubt for a second that they don't have an exit plan and that they will leave all of their people to die?
And this is true. And he's in Berlin, isn't he? I mean, I thought he was in Berlin.
Where he was. I don't know where the hell he is now. He also hasn't said much lately. Who knows? Listen,
he's in hiding because he's a pussy. He's a total coward.
Let me tell you something. Whether you believe it or not, guys, I'm telling you right now, Iran is leveling Israel.
I believe so too. And we're not going to know until it's over.
Nope.
C'est toi qui as commencé. C'est toi qui as commencé. C'est toi qui as commencé.
Now, can you? What part of Paris is this? Is this like the center of?
I'm sorry. Is there like a sign over my head that says Parisian tour guide?
Oh, I don't know. Well, maybe you might know this, like center.
I have been to Paris many, many years ago, but no, I can't. It's obviously some big open plaza area, some big open. I would call it a piazza, but it's France and not Spain. So,
well. Do you find it? I always find it interesting how this guy is like trying to be, he's trying to be intimidating in some way.
It's Nice and not Paris. Thank you, Miguel. And I've also been to Nice, and I wouldn't have recognized that as Nice either because it was a long time ago.
Thank you very much.
Downtown Nice. Thank you. I have been to the Contemporary Art Museum in Nice. Is really awesome. Yeah, but it doesn't. Honestly. Can you facilitate this? Because we can't even understand what they're saying anyway.
He acts like he's lurking. He acts like he's lurking, and yet his woman, I guess, is standing in front of him, preventing him from actually, dealing with the situation. Oh yeah, she's holding me back because you would totally be in trouble if I got near you.
C'est toi qui as commencé, c'est toi qui as poussé la femme. C'est toi qui as commencé.
For a second, I saw this. Longmeadow goes, Israelis are buying land in western Georgia. And before I saw, he wrote in parentheses, the country. You were scaring the bejesus out of me.
Yeah, really?
I can't have that crap here. Stay away.
Yeah, there's also a video of a Polish guy in the Warsaw airport that basically went up to the Zios that have been showing up saying, get the fuck out of our country. We don't want you here. Listen, they are going to be pariahs. They are going to be lepers. And no one should have an ounce of sympathy for them at all. They brought this all.
This is funny.
Absolutely. I am pretty sure, I know very little French, but I'm pretty sure c'est toi is shut up. I'm pretty sure that's what that means. Meanwhile, the cop is standing there like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, looking at him like, what do you do you want someone to pet you on the head? Well, as the saying goes.
And we thought Erika Kirk was bad at acting. Exactly.
They cry as they strike you. He's an Italian soccer player. I don't think the Italians are the worst. Let's see if we could get him. I just want to capture his face. Oh, yeah, okay.
Ridiculous. This is so silly.
Oh, do something about it. Oh, he has Ben Shapiro's eyebrows.
Nobody has Ben Shapiro's eyebrows. Ben Shapiro doesn't even have Ben Shapiro's eyebrows. They're not real.
Hey, little Ben, I think you got some competition.
No.
That is a big set of eyebrows there. Holy
it's a big set of eyebrows.
Yeah. Oh, well, they will not win. They're not going to win. They are going to lose. And as I said, as I've been saying, I don't believe that there is anything we can do realistically to save the Palestinians. What's the trial?
That's funny.
That's big.
Yeah,
the one thing that we wanted to be sure of is that the Palestinians do not die in vain. And if the arc of history is showing that perhaps justice may be on the horizon, then at least we've got that. We may not have a lot to hang our head on. But at the bare minimum, I think that's something that I think would matter a great deal.
Oh, Sonny, I don't think the faux victim was arrested for attempting to con the police. I don't think that happened, but that would be funny.
You know what? We do have one more thing that we can cover before we go, because I know that this is something
what are you wanting
to cover, which is ridiculous.
I wanted to cover it, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah. No.
If I wanted to cover it, it should be brilliant.
No, it's ridiculous in a funny way, but it's the great noticing that's been going on. So Thomas Massie's congressional primary is in exactly 10 weeks, May
Okay.
19th. So May 19th is this election. And Trump decided to make his pilgrimage to Eastern Kentucky and do a rally for this guy. And I got to say, one of the things that I truly love and admire about Massie, he's got a great sense of humor.
So who's the guy running against Massie?
I'm going to show you because this is funny. Somebody put this together. I want to make sure that I can I could get a click of it. Okay, yeah, this is great. Okay, so the guy's name, his name is Eddie Gallerine. I think that's how you say his name.
And that's who they picked to try to take out Massie.
So Gallerine, who of course is again, he's a military guy, but of course he's handpicked by Trump, and we all know when those types of things happen.
Well, Trump's pick won in this district to replace Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yes, but it's not. Well, again, it's different when it's an open seat, and then you have a president endorsed candidate,
yes,
and then he ends up getting all of the money. And unfortunately, in congressional politics, as you know, it's not a question of if one candidate has all the money, it's do you have enough? And clearly, when Trump gave his blessing, that was more than enough. So if you guys remember the Dean Scream, this is essentially what ruined how
we know the Dean Scream.
Okay. So this is a video clip that came from Thomas Massie. We've been trying to get Massie on the podcast for a while, and we're going to keep trying, and we're going to try when we go to DC if we don't get him before then. But then that's good. This is an example of what a lightweight of a candidate this Eddie Gallerine is against somebody like Thomas Massie.
And we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House. Fight, fight, fight! Ah! Fight! Ah!
That's who he thinks is going to beat Thomas Massie?
This guy's going to beat Massie.
Wait, go back. Let's see him again.
We're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House. Fight, fight, fight!
I don't think so.
Now, I have to say, one of my proudest...
Look at that. No opinions, right? Look at that Hitler haircut.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that guy, there's no universe wherein this guy...
really is a Hitler haircut.
Yeah. There's no universe wherein this guy beats Thomas Massie. No. It's not going to happen. It's silly.
Massie, the latest Kalshi poll that came, that's being on the running ticker, if you will, Massie is up with 67% probability of winning his election. And this is with, again,
I do not doubt it for a minute.
The president of the United States is putting his thumb on the scale. But this also goes to show you the difference between real conservative voters and knick-knack MAGA cultists, if you will. He's a retired military officer. Well, of course.
I agree, Dennis. I really didn't think the end of the world would be so lame either. I mean, especially if you're Gen X, we were really expecting a much bigger thing. You know, we really were. It's very disappointing.
Well, I think if Massie wins his reelection, there's going to be a lot of states drafting him for president in 28. So you're not going to have to worry about him being on the ballot.
It'll be very interesting because, you know, obviously you've got the Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance team, and then you're also going to have the Marco Rubio, you know, and then, yeah, it'll be very interesting.
Let me tell you, I think Massie should run, and I think Massie would be a real threat if he decided.
Oh, Paris, the reason we're showing Howard Dean is it was mashed together with this video mocking this gentleman who's running against Thomas Massie as if he was kind of that enthusiastic. So it's just a joke. Somebody mashed it up with the old Howard Dean video.
Now, if you thought that was funny, this is even more hilarious as it is pathetic. Here's the president.
Trump's got us. Trump's got us. God bless. Love you, Kentucky.
Oh, good God. All right. Now, as soon as Peter told me he wanted to have anything to do with this piece of shit,
Jake
I
Paul?
made it very clear that there was only one thing I wanted to see if we're going to be showing this guy. And that's I want to see the picture of his jaw being broken because it pleased me, which is sick because I don't even like boxing. I think it's not like, I don't like that. I don't like the idea that the goal of the game is just to beat the shit out of somebody. Like, that's not even my thing. And yet I took such immense pleasure in watching this piece of shit's jaw get broken. And that makes me sad too. Like, I don't want to feel good about that.
Now, a couple of things. I have never seen somebody in a suit perspire that badly under his arms.
Okay, yeah. Let me tell you something. Don't mock that, because as somebody who suffers from hyperhidrosis, I used to have to get Botox in my armpits to avoid that when I would go to court.
Interesting.
Don't mock it.
No, I'm not mocking it. I'm just saying that.
I mean, you can mock him for a myriad of other things, but not hyperhidrosis.
Well, how about the fact that Trump is endorsing him to run for political office?
Well, why not? He's as ridiculous of a candidate as Trump is.
That's true. Yeah, he's got that going on.
No, he's a great guy. He's a courageous guy and a talented guy. He's a hell of a fighter, too, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just want to say, I'm going to make a prediction that you will be, in the not too distant future, running for political office.
Here's hoping.
And you have my complete and total endorsement, okay?
Oh, if only that was worth something.
No, I don't think it's really worth anything, but that's this is the image that we will remember Jake Paul with. And,
all the antiperspirants are meant for peasants. You don't understand. No, my it's a family thing. It's hereditary. We have issues. Anywho. Oh, I love that picture. I love that picture. Oh, it's glorious.
Probably still feels it. And
Ozempic. No, I've never put Botox in my face. Don't be ridiculous.
Yeah, that guy's running for office, Jen.
Well,
and keep this in mind. Jake Paul apparently is also claiming he's Jewish and he loves the state of Israel. And we all know what that means. It means that he wants to play ball. And it would explain a lot as to what he and his brother, again, class clowns.
Okay. I remember these two idiots doing ridiculous split jump stunts on subways on social media. And now all of us, honestly, it's just like another type of Kardashian shit to me.
That's what again, we are living through idiocracy.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah.
Jen has lots of admirers.
Well, it's only because whenever anybody likes you, I just ban them. Just kidding.
Whatever. Well, if Mark Wayne Mullen can get elected, I guess just about anybody can. Yeah.
You mean Mark Wayne? His name's Mark Wayne. Mark Wayne. Did you see that ridiculous? Did you see the video that the woman did, the comedian, where she was giving the name of her baby and it was Mark Wayne, and the nurse, what do you mean? 2 words? No, 1 word. Mark Wayne. And it was such a joke. It was ridiculous.
What a night. On Saturday, I will be speaking with Ashley Conrad, who is an exceptional fitness guru. I saw some of her posts recently. She's got a huge following on Instagram. And she's actually somebody who...
I'm sorry, Susan Pendejo. There's just a couple pistachio nuts. I'm sorry. I know.
And I know that she's... like myself, very much into the fit lifestyle. And I think that has a lot to do with one of the things that would probably make this country a lot better is if we were promoting that. Like I said, this is part of the problem with somebody like RFK. On the one hand, RFK does have a good message on a handful of issues, particularly pertaining to health, but he's also kooky and comes up with lots of silly stuff. And when you have a kooky person promoting the healthy lifestyle, it ends up hurting it, because in the long run, who doesn't want to hear about the healthy lifestyle?
See, now this is funny.
She's probably
Here's what I would say. I say the same thing I would say to my kids when I would say to them, look, I'm not the best mom. but I'm not the worst. And I would suggest that would also be in that category.
Take it what you will. Smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things we ask you to do. We love you all. We appreciate you all. I will see you Saturday. And
I want free Palestine.
good night, guys.